Members of Congress, official action is being taken by the House Ethics Panel in response. Talking Points contributor Byron Tollefson is here in studio with more. Byron?
The House Ethics Panel announced Friday it's launching a wide-ranging probe into sexual harassment claims. The Ethics Committee is also investigating whether Representative John Conyers used specifically allocated taxpayer money to settle his sexual harassment dispute. And on Friday, the Washington Post reported Congressman Blake Farenthold used $84,000 taxpayer dollars to pay his sexual harassment suit. How have these congressmen been allowed to settle using taxpayer money? Well, the group that pays out these settlements is the Office of Compliance, which settles all congressional employee disputes. The office has paid more than $17 million taxpayer dollars in 268 settlements since 1997. It's unknown how many of those settlements were sexual harassment related, but following the Farenthold report, there's now a new push in Congress to ban this practice. A Republican congressman from Utah, Mia Love, introduced a bill on Friday that would end this use of taxpayer money. She said that she was outraged after hearing the Farenthold story, but none of this behavior is new. She said, and I quote, "If someone behaves badly, the consequences to those actions are that person's responsibility and no one else's."
So Byron, you mentioned John Conyers in that, and what has been the House leadership's response with regard to him?
Well, the Speaker of the House, Paul Ryan, has already said he should come out and resign, but the Nancy Pelosi response is pretty interesting because when she was initially asked about it on Meet the Press by Chuck Todd, she said, "Oh, well, he's an icon. I don't really know the accusers." So that was her initial response, which isn't a quick condemnation. But eventually, she ended up saying that he should resign. It is time for him to resign. So kind of somewhat of a flip-flopper on that point.
Now, Byron, like you said, there's a new bill being introduced that basically would stop the use of taxpayer money to settle these allegations. But, I mean, how far can we expect this to go? Is there any chance that Congress is going to change the process in which they handle sexual allegations?
Well, in addition to that Mia Love quote, you also have a bill being introduced a few weeks ago by Jackie Speier, a Republican congresswoman from California, as well as Kirsten Gillibrand in the Senate. And part of that bill will ban this use of taxpayer money. In addition, it will require mandatory training by members of Congress in a survey every 2 years, which is anonymous, detailing if there's any sexual harassment going on.
Right, and the fact that there is, an effort being made in terms of kind of curtailing this behavior, what is the timeline for implementing some of these, broader programs that they want to kind of identify?
Well, that bill was actually introduced at around November 16th, so it has been some time, but more allegations that you continue to see with Farenthold, with John Conyers, Al Franken in the Senate. There should be a push relatively soon. The GOP has passed its tax reform bill, so let's see what happens, but there should be some sort of additional push to see if we'll get a vote on this relatively soon.
Absolutely. Thank you for bringing to light such an important issue, Byron.
Thank you for having me.